y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Luigi, and today I thought that we would record a new video in the How to VGC series. We've talked before about natures and IVs and EVs and how to breed competitive Pokemon, but today I thought it would be fun to kind of go a little bit more basic and start talking about type matchups and the difference between physical, special, and status moves. So as some of you may know, if you've played Pokemon Sword and Shield, Hop, your rival, does a really good job of making sure you know that type matchups are important. And ideally, you would have a Pokemon that's a good type against a Pokemon that's a worse or weaker type. So I kind of zoomed in here to a type matchup chart. I like to use this one rather than the more grid-based ones you may have seen, just because it's a little bit easier for me to read quickly while I'm in the middle of a battle. And I'll put a link to this image right here in the description box down below so that you can bookmark it in your browser and keep it up while you're playing Pokemon games. So if you look up here at the top left, you'll see the bug type. I've just chosen to zoom in on this one so we can see a little bit better. But this means that any moves that are the bug type will do twice as much damage to any Pokemon that have a psychic, grass, or dark typing. And also, if any moves are bug type, they will do half damage to any Pokemon that are fighting, fire, flying, ghost, poison, steel, fairy. Which, that's a lot of types that are going to be resistant to bug type moves, which means that bug type moves might not be as great in certain offensive situations. And then on the right side, you can see sort of the defensive situation. So bug Pokemon are going to take half damage from moves that are fighting, grass, or ground. And they're going to take twice as much damage from moves that are fire, flying, rock. So when you're thinking about resisted and super effective moves, it's always important to keep in mind that it's the type of the move that matters and not the type of the attacking Pokemon. And it's the type of the defending Pokemon that matters and not necessarily the type of any moves the defending Pokemon may have. Now, something else to keep in mind is that Pokemon with two typings, dual type Pokemons, might have some different interactions between their two typings. So, for example, Charizard is a Pokemon with the types fire and flying. It has both of those types. So what that means is that fire takes 2 times damage from rock, as you can see right here. Flying also takes 2 times damage from rock. Fire and flying are both weak to rock. And how these two weaknesses interact in a dual type Pokemon means that a Pokemon with both fire and flying, like Charizard, is going to be 4 times weak to rock. So a rock move used on a Charizard is going to do 4 times as much damage as it normally would. Now, it works the other way too. You can have 4 times resistances as well. For example, you can see that fire takes half damage from bug, and flying also takes half damage from bug. So when these two type resistances combine in one Pokemon, we can see that Charizard, which is a fire-flying Pokemon, will take 1/4 the amount of damage from a bug move as a regular non-resisted Pokemon would. So 4 times weaknesses and super effectiveness can be good or bad depending on which side it is. If I'm using a Charizard, I'm not going to want to put it out against a Pokemon that has a rock move, but I'm definitely going to want to put it out against a Pokemon that's using a bug move. A couple other things to think about as far as types are immunities. So we talked about resistances, super effectiveness. There's one other case in which certain move types cannot damage certain Pokemon types at all. For example, electric type moves can't damage a ground type of Pokemon at all, and we call that an immunity. So you can see right here, if I have a Pokemon that's a ground type, no other Pokemon can use an electric type move against me. It will have no effect whatsoever. The same is true of types like normal and ghost, for example. Normal type moves can't damage ghost type Pokemon, but the reverse is also true. Ghost type moves cannot damage normal type Pokemon. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind when you're thinking about the composition of a competitive VGC team. It's important to have a good mix of typing, not only in the typing of your Pokemon, so that you can put out Pokemon that resist your opponent's Pokemon, but also in terms of like moves on those Pokemon. You want good, we call it coverage. You want good coverage of your moves. So if I have a Pokemon that's a grass type, for example, I might run a ground type move on it because I know that the grass type is weak to fire, for example, but fire is weak to ground. So I can still use my grass type Pokemon to do good damage against a fire type Pokemon if I have good coverage in my moveset. So something else that's a little bit important to think about is physicals and special moves, as well as status moves. So status moves are kind of a special case. I'll pull up my Meowstic here to show you. Status moves do not do direct damage to a Pokemon. Now, they can do damage, but they don't do direct damage. They don't use your attack or special attack stat in order to calculate damage. So a status move is always going to have this sort of yin-yang symbol on it, and that lets you know the type of move. It's a status move. They're generally more support moves. So things like Light Screen, Reflect, Helping Hand, Trick Room, Protect, healing moves are sometimes status moves. Things like this are kind of a special case. Now, the other two types of moves are special attack and physical attack. So every Pokemon has physical attack and special attack stats. So for example, this Nidoqueen has an attack stat of 158 and a special attack stat of 77. So I know that with this Nidoqueen, I'm going to be wanting to use physical moves instead of special moves because they'll do more damage. In general, you want to use the type of move that matches the higher of the two stats between attack and special attack. So I know this Nidoqueen is a physical attacker because I built it to be that way. And so you can see that all of the moves on this Nidoqueen are physical moves. And physical moves are going to have that little like explosion symbol on it. And you can see every single one of these moves is a physical move. And so that's good because it means that I'm going to be doing more damage than I otherwise would with a special move on this physical attacking Pokemon. And then special attack is the same situation. So if I look at this Suicune here, you can see that it has a special attack of 216 and a physical attack of 167. So I know that if I'm going to be using an attacking move on this Pokemon, I want it to be a special attack and not a physical attack. So you can see that I've got a couple of status moves on this Suicune to play a bit of a more support role on my team, but the one attacking move that I do have is a special attack, and all of your special attacks are going to have those sort of concentric circles, looks almost like a target. All of your special attacks are going to look like that in the move selection screen. So to sum things up, you always want to make sure that you're not using a resisted move against your opponent's Pokemon. You always want to make sure that you're at least regular effective, 1 times effective, or super effective if possible. If you're up against a Pokemon that's dual type and has a 4 times weakness, you absolutely want to prioritize using a move of that type against that Pokemon if possible. So if I come up against a Charizard, for example, I'm almost always going to want to use a rock type move against it unless I don't have one on my team at all. And the other thing to remember is when you're building a team, make sure you look at your Pokemon and you know which of your Pokemon are physical attackers and which of your Pokemon are special attackers, and make sure that you prioritize putting moves of that type on that Pokemon. Physical attacking Pokemon should have physical attacks only, unless there's a very specific situation in which you wouldn't want that to be the case. And special attacking Pokemon should always have special attacks only on their move pool, again, unless there's a specific situation in which you would want the opposite type of move. And that's it for me today. This was just a really quick intro to type matchups and the difference between physical, special, and status moves. Next time, we're going to be talking about spread damage reduction calculation and kind of how that works, as well as different status effects and how they work in competition. So I'll see you next week. Please don't forget to like this video if you want to see more like it, subscribe if you want to see more like it, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Bye!